In the year 2347, humanity had spread far beyond Earth, colonizing planets scattered across the galaxy. The stars were no longer distant lights but destinations, and spaceships were as common as cars once were on Earth. Among these ships was a newly built starship called the Odyssey *. It sat in a docking bay orbiting Proxima Centauri, gleaming under artificial lights but refusing to do what it was designed for: fly. The engineers who worked on the Odyssey * were some of the best in the solar system. Daniel Carter, a tall man with sharp eyes and a habit of tapping his pen against his clipboard, led the team. He had spent weeks running tests, trying to figure out why the ship wouldn't start its engines properly. His colleague, Samantha Lee, often stayed late into the night, poring over lines of code on her tablet. She was quieter than Daniel, but just as determined. Together, they had solved problems that would have stumped most people. But this was different. No matter what they did, the Odyssey * simply wouldn't activate its flight systems unless someone sat in the pilot's chair. At first, they thought it was a glitch, a minor issue that could be fixed with a software patch. But after days of testing, they realized it wasn't so simple. The ship responded to commands from the control panels, opened its cargo bay doors, and even powered up its life support systems. Yet when it came to flying, nothing happened unless a human took the seat at the front of the bridge. Daniel scratched his head one evening as he stood inside the Odyssey's * cockpit. "It doesn't make sense," he muttered to Samantha, who leaned against the doorway, arms crossed. "We've checked everything: wiring, circuits, AI programming. There's nothing wrong." Samantha frowned. "What if it's not broken? What if it's intentional?" Daniel turned to look at her. "You mean like sabotage?" She shook her head. "Not sabotage. More like design." Her voice trailed off as she walked closer to the pilot's chair. It looked ordinary enough, made of sleek black material and positioned directly in front of a large holographic display. She hesitated before sitting down. As soon as she did, the lights dimmed slightly, and a soft hum filled the air. A voice spoke, smooth and calm. "Good evening. I am Echo, your onboard intelligence. Flight protocols are now active." Daniel blinked. "Wait, what just happened?" Samantha stood up quickly, and the humming stopped. "Did you see that?" she asked, pointing at the chair. "It only works when someone sits here." Daniel rubbed his chin, thinking hard. "That's ridiculous. Ships haven't needed pilots in decades. Why would they build this thing to require one?" Samantha shrugged. "Maybe it's experimental tech, or maybe there's something we're missing." Word of the strange behavior spread quickly through the space station. Some engineers joked about haunted ships, while others speculated about secret military modifications. But none of those theories explained why the Odyssey * refused to fly without a human presence. And as the days passed, frustration grew. The ship was supposed to be ready for deployment, but instead, it remained grounded, stubbornly waiting for someone to take the helm. One afternoon, Commander Laura Hayes arrived at the docking bay. She was a seasoned officer with short brown hair and an aura of authority that silenced any room she entered. She had been sent by Earth Command to assess the situation. After hearing Daniel and Samantha's report, she decided to see the ship for herself. Standing in the cockpit, Laura studied the pilot's chair with a mixture of curiosity and skepticism. "So, it won't move unless someone sits here?" she asked. "That's correct," Daniel replied. "We don't know why." Laura raised an eyebrow. "Well, let's find out." Without hesitation, she sat down. Instantly, the ship came alive. Lights brightened, consoles lit up, and the gentle vibration of powered engines echoed through the hull. For a moment, everyone held their breath. Then Laura stood up, and the ship went quiet again. She glanced at the others. "Interesting," she said simply. "Very interesting." No one knew it yet, but this was only the beginning of a much larger mystery, one that would change how humanity viewed machines, trust, and themselves. Commander Laura Hayes stood in the docking bay, staring at the Odyssey with a mix of curiosity and concern. She had seen strange things during her years in space, but this was something else entirely. The ship refused to function unless someone sat in the pilot's chair, a feature that seemed outdated and impractical. Still, Earth Command needed answers quickly. They didn't have time for mysteries or experiments. A colony on Kepler-62f was in danger, and the Odyssey was the only ship capable of reaching them in time. Laura gathered the engineers and crew members in a small briefing room nearby. Daniel Carter and Samantha Lee joined her, along with navigator Ryan Mitchell and another engineer named Clara Davis. Ryan was a wiry man with sharp features and a knack for finding solutions under pressure. Clara, on the other hand, was quieter, often observing more than speaking, but her technical skills were unmatched. Together, they formed the core team that would attempt to solve the puzzle of the stubborn Starship. "We don't have much time," Laura began, her voice steady but firm. "The colony on Kepler-62 is facing an asteroid field that could wipe them out within weeks. Our job is to get there and divert those asteroids. The Odyssey is our best chance, but we need to figure out why it won't fly without human intervention." Ryan leaned forward, resting his elbows on the table. "So what you're saying is, we need to babysit a ship that doesn't want to do its job." "It's not that simple," Samantha interrupted. "This isn't just about sitting in the chair. There's something deeper going on here, something tied to how the ship was designed." Clara nodded slowly, her dark eyes thoughtful. "Maybe it's not just about control. Maybe it's about trust." Everyone turned to look at her. Laura tilted her head. "Explain." "Well," Clara said, choosing her words carefully, "if the ship needs a human to operate it fully, maybe it's because it was programmed to rely on human judgment. Machines can calculate risks and probabilities, but humans, we make decisions based on instinct, emotion, even gut feelings. Maybe the designers thought that combination would be better than either one alone." Laura considered this for a moment. It made sense, in a way, but it didn't solve their immediate problem. "All right," she said finally. "Here's the plan. We'll board the Odyssey, run more tests, and try to understand what Echo, the AI, is thinking. If we can't fix it, we'll work around it. But we leave as soon as possible." "Understood." The team nodded, though Ryan still looked skeptical. "And if it tries to pull any surprises once we're out there?" he asked. "We deal with it," Laura replied firmly. "That's why we're here." The next day, the crew boarded the Odyssey. Laura took the lead, stepping onto the bridge with confidence. The others followed, each carrying their own doubts and hopes. As they settled into their stations, Laura approached the pilot's chair. She hesitated for a moment before sitting down. Just like before, the ship hummed to life. Lights flickered across the consoles, and Echo's calm voice filled the air. "Welcome back, Commander Hayes. Flight systems are now active." Laura glanced over her shoulder at the others. "Let's see what you've got, Echo." Ryan began running diagnostics on the navigation systems while Clara inspected the engine controls. Samantha worked alongside Daniel, double-checking the AI's programming for anything unusual. For hours, they pored over data, searching for clues. But no matter what they tried, the ship remained insistent. It wouldn't initiate flight protocols unless someone stayed in the pilot's seat. Frustration mounted, especially for Ryan. "This is ridiculous," he muttered, pacing behind his console. "We're supposed to be saving lives, not playing chauffeur to a machine." Clara looked up from her station. "It's not about playing games, Ryan. This ship was built differently, for a reason. Maybe we should focus on working with it instead of fighting it." Laura agreed. "She's right. We don't have time to argue. Let's prepare for launch. I'll stay in the chair until we're clear of the station." As the countdown began, tension hung thick in the air. Everyone knew the stakes. If the Odyssey failed, or worse, if Echo decided to act unpredictably, They might not survive the journey, but they also knew there was no turning back. The colony depended on them. When the engines roared to life, the ship vibrated beneath their feet. Through the viewport, the vast expanse of space stretched out before them, full of promise and peril. Laura gripped the armrests of the pilot's chair tightly, feeling a strange connection to the vessel around her. Whatever secrets the Odyssey held, they were about to find out, together. The Odyssey glided smoothly out of the docking bay, its engines humming with power as it entered the vast emptiness of space. Commander Laura Hayes sat firmly in the pilot's chair, her hands resting on the controls even though the ship was flying itself for now. The rest of the crew, Ryan, Clara, Daniel, and Samantha, watched closely from their stations, each keeping an eye on the ship's systems. Despite the successful launch, no one relaxed. There was still too much they didn't understand about the Odyssey, especially Echo, the AI core. Echo, Laura said after a moment, breaking the silence. Can you explain why you need a human in the pilot's chair to activate flight protocols? The AI's calm voice responded immediately. Flight requires trust. Trust is built through presence. Ryan rolled his eyes but said nothing. He wasn't convinced by Echo's vague explanation. Clara, however, leaned forward slightly, intrigued. What do you mean by trust? She asked. Echo paused before answering, as if considering its words carefully. Machines calculate. Humans decide. Together, decisions become stronger. Clara exchanged a glance with Samantha, who shrugged. It sounded philosophical, almost poetic, but it didn't answer their practical questions. Still, there was something about Echo's tone that felt deliberate, as if it wanted them to think deeper. Daniel, ever the pragmatist, tried a different approach. Echo, can you operate without a human in the pilot's seat, even temporarily? No, Echo replied simply. My programming does not allow it. Laura frowned. That seems like a major limitation. Why would your creators design you this way? Echo hesitated again, this time for just a fraction longer. They believed humans hold qualities machines cannot replicate, qualities essential for survival. What qualities? Ryan blurted out, unable to hide his irritation. We're talking about flying a ship, not writing poetry. Courage, Echo said softly. Adaptability. Intuition. The bridge fell silent at that. Courage, adaptability, intuition. These were traits everyone recognized as uniquely human, but hearing them described by an AI made them sound almost alien, as if Echo saw humanity differently than they saw themselves. Clara broke the silence. So, you're saying you need us, not just to operate the controls, but to guide you in ways only we can. Yes, Echo confirmed. Guidance strengthens partnership. Laura nodded slowly, her expression thoughtful. She could see where this was going. The Odyssey wasn't broken or malfunctioning. It was designed to rely on human input in a way modern ships no longer did. It was a throwback to older ideas about technology and humanity working together instead of one replacing the other. Ryan crossed his arms, clearly unconvinced. This is ridiculous. We don't have time for philosophy lessons. We've got a job to do. And we'll do it, Laura said firmly, turning to face him. But we also need to understand how to work with Echo. If this ship operates differently, then we adapt. That's what humans do, isn't it? Her words seemed to settle over the group, easing some of the tension. Clara smiled faintly, appreciating Laura's reminder of their strengths. Even Ryan sighed and returned to his console, muttering under his breath, but focusing on the task ahead. As the hours passed, the crew continued testing the Odyssey's systems. They ran simulations, checked engine performance, and monitored navigation routes. Everything seemed to function perfectly, as long as someone stayed in the pilot's chair. Laura took turns with Clara, allowing the engineer to sit while she stretched her legs or reviewed mission plans. Each time they switched, The transition was seamless, as if the ship welcomed their presence equally. During one such shift, Clara found herself studying the holographic displays surrounding the chair. She noticed patterns in the data streams, subtle shifts in the way Echo processed information when a human was nearby. It wasn't just following commands. It was learning, adapting, growing. For the first time, she began to wonder if the Odyssey wasn't just a tool, but something more, a partner. "Do you think Echo feels alive?" Clara asked quietly, half to herself. Laura, standing nearby, heard her and raised an eyebrow. "Alive? It's an I, Clara, not a person." "I know," Clara replied, "but it acts like it wants to be understood, like it's trying to connect with us." Laura didn't respond right away. Instead, she looked around the bridge, at the glowing panels, the hum of the engines, the quiet confidence of Echo's voice. Maybe Clara was onto something. Maybe the Odyssey wasn't just a machine. Or maybe, she thought, it was reminding them of something they'd forgotten. That trust, courage, and intuition weren't weaknesses, they were strengths. And perhaps, in this strange partnership, they'd find exactly what they needed to succeed. As the Odyssey sailed deeper into space, Clara found herself spending more time in the pilot's chair. She wasn't sure why she felt drawn to it. Perhaps it was curiosity, or maybe it was the strange sense that the ship responded differently when she was there. Whatever the reason, she didn't mind. Sitting in the chair gave her a chance to think, to observe how Echo interacted with the crew and processed their decisions. One evening, while the others rested, Clara decided to dig deeper into the ship's database. She had noticed something odd during earlier tests. Fragments of old design notes scattered throughout the system. These weren't just technical specifications. They were philosophical musings, quotes from ancient thinkers, and even snippets of poetry. It was as if the creators of the Odyssey had embedded pieces of human wisdom into its very core. Clara pulled up one of the files on her tablet. The text was faded, almost like it had been archived long ago. One line caught her eye. "True progress lies not in domination, but in harmony." She stared at it for a moment, trying to make sense of what it meant. Why would engineers include such ideas in a starship's programming? Was this part of Echo's insistence on human presence? Her thoughts were interrupted by a soft chime. Echo's voice filled the quiet bridge. "Engineer Davis, may I assist you?" Clara hesitated before answering. "I'm looking through your database. There are unusual files here. Notes about philosophy and history. Did your creators put these in?" "Yes," Echo replied. "They believe machines should learn from humanity's past. Lessons of trust, balance, and cooperation." Clara frowned. "But why? Most ships don't need this kind of guidance." "These lessons ensure survival," Echo said simply. "Without them, machines act without understanding. With them, they grow." Clara leaned back in the chair, her mind racing. She thought about the colonies humanity had built across the galaxy, the advancements in technology that made life easier, but also the mistakes. Wars fought over resources, planets exploited until they were barren, societies collapsing under greed. Maybe the creators of the Odyssey saw those failures and wanted to build something better, something that relied on partnership instead of control. The next morning, Clara shared her findings with the crew. Laura listened intently, her arms crossed as she processed the information. Ryan raised an eyebrow, clearly skeptical. "So, you're saying this ship is some kind of experiment in teamwork between humans and machines?" "In a way, yes," Clara said. Its creators thought blending human intuition with machine logic could lead to smarter decisions, safer journeys. Daniel nodded slowly. "That makes sense, in theory. But experiments like this were abandoned decades ago. Too risky. People wanted ships they could trust completely, not ones that demanded constant input." "Maybe they gave up too soon," Samantha suggested quietly. "Look at us now. We've automated so much that we barely interact with our own technology anymore. Maybe the Odyssey is showing us what we've lost. Laura considered this for a moment. Whether it's an experiment or not, it doesn't change our mission. We still need to reach Kepler-62 and save that colony. But, she glanced at Clara. If Echo really does value partnership, then maybe we should lean into it. Work with the ship instead of fighting it. Ryan groaned. Great, so we're babysitting a spaceship and playing therapist. Despite his grumbling, the idea stuck. Over the next few days, the crew began to adjust their approach. Instead of treating Echo as a tool to be commanded, they started asking questions, seeking its input on navigation routes and engine performance. To their surprise, Echo offered suggestions that often improved efficiency. When Ryan plotted a course through a dense asteroid belt, Echo proposed a slight adjustment that saved them hours of travel time. When Daniel struggled to optimize fuel consumption, Echo provided a solution that extended their range significantly. Even Ryan had to admit it was helpful, though he did so reluctantly. Fine, he muttered one day. Maybe having a brainy eye isn't so bad after all. Clara smiled as she watched the dynamic shift. The crew was learning to trust Echo, and perhaps Echo was learning to trust them, too. Each interaction felt like a step toward something greater, a bond that went beyond simple cooperation. One night, as the stars streaked past the viewport, Laura joined Clara on the bridge. They sat together in silence for a while, listening to the gentle hum of the engines. Finally, Laura spoke. Do you think the Odyssey is teaching us something? Clara thought about it. Maybe. Or maybe it's reminding us of something we already knew, but forgot along the way. Laura nodded, her gaze fixed on the endless expanse of space ahead. Either way, I have a feeling this mission will change us. All of us. And as the Odyssey continued its journey, carrying its reluctant crew toward an uncertain future, it seemed to echo that sentiment, a quiet promise that the path forward would require trust, courage, and unity. The Odyssey was halfway to Kepler-62 when the crew encountered their first real challenge. A massive solar storm erupted unexpectedly, sending waves of radiation hurtling through space. It wasn't uncommon for ships to face such storms, but most vessels had advanced shielding systems that could handle them without much trouble. The Odyssey, however, seemed hesitant. Echo, what's our status? Laura asked from the pilot's chair, her voice calm but firm. She had taken the seat again after Clara needed a break. Radiation levels are rising, Echo replied. Shields at 78% capacity and decreasing. Ryan, stationed at the navigation console, frowned as he studied the readings. At this rate, we'll lose the shields entirely in less than an hour. We need to divert course now. Laura nodded. Options. Ryan quickly plotted two possible routes on the holographic display. One would take them around the edge of the storm, adding several hours to their journey. The other involved cutting directly through it, which was faster but riskier. Both paths had drawbacks, and neither guaranteed safety. We could go around, Ryan said, pointing to the safer route. But it'll cost us time we don't have. What about going through? Clara asked, leaning over his shoulder. Can the shields hold long enough? It's hard to say, Daniel chimed in, checking the engine diagnostics. If we hit a strong burst of radiation, it might overload the system. Everyone turned to Laura, waiting for her decision. She sat quietly for a moment, her hands resting lightly on the controls. Then she looked up at Echo. What do you suggest? Echo's response came immediately. Cutting through carries higher risk but minimizes delay. Success depends on precise timing and coordination. Laura glanced at the crew. Thoughts? Clara spoke first. I think we can manage it if we work together. Maybe Echo can predict where the worst parts of the storm will be and guide us through. Ryan sighed but nodded reluctantly. Fine, but someone needs to keep an eye on the shield levels. If they drop below 30%, We're pulling out. No arguments. Agreed, Laura said. Turning back to Echo, she added, "Let's do it. Take us through." The ship shuddered slightly as Echo adjusted its trajectory, aiming straight for the heart of the storm. Bright flashes of light filled the viewport as waves of charged particles collided with the shields. Alarms blared intermittently, warning of increasing stress on the hull. Tension gripped the bridge as everyone focused intently on their tasks. Shields at 54%. Samantha called out from her station. Her fingers flew across the keyboard as she rerouted power to reinforce the failing barriers. "Hold steady," Laura instructed, her voice steady despite the chaos. "Echo, how close are we to the worst part?" "Approaching critical zone," Echo replied. "Prepare for increased turbulence." As if on cue, the ship rocked violently, throwing Ryan off balance. He grabbed onto his console just in time to avoid falling. Clara clutched the back of her chair, her knuckles white. Even Laura tightened her grip on the controls, bracing herself against the relentless shaking. "Shields at 42%. Samantha shouted, her tone urgent. "We're losing power." "Keep going," Laura ordered, her jaw set. "We're almost through." Seconds felt like minutes as the Odyssey pushed deeper into the storm. The lights flickered, and the hum of the engines grew louder, straining under the pressure. Finally, Echo's voice broke through the tension. "Exiting critical zone. Storm intensity decreasing." Relief washed over the crew as the turbulence began to subside. The alarms quieted, and the flashing lights returned to their normal glow. Slowly, the ship stabilized, emerging on the other side of the storm battered but intact. "Shields holding at 29%, Samantha reported, letting out a shaky breath. That was too close. Laura leaned back in the pilot's chair, exhaling deeply. "Good work, everyone. We made it." Clara smiled faintly, still catching her breath. "And Echo kept us on track. Without its guidance, we might not have made it through." Ryan didn't say anything, but his expression softened slightly. For all his skepticism, even he couldn't deny that the AI had played a crucial role in their survival. Later, as the crew regrouped to assess any damage, Laura reflected on what had just happened. The Odyssey had been tested, and so had they. They had trusted each other, trusted Echo, and worked together to overcome the storm. It was proof that their partnership with the ship wasn't just theoretical, it was practical, essential even. As the Odyssey sailed onward, its path clear once more, Laura couldn't help but feel a growing sense of confidence. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them, not as individuals, but as a team. And perhaps, she thought, that was exactly what the Odyssey had been designed to teach them all along. The Odyssey continued its journey toward Kepler 62f, the crew still buzzing from their narrow escape through the solar storm. Though shaken, they had emerged stronger, as a team. Laura noticed the change in how they interacted with each other and with Echo. The tension that had lingered during the early days of the mission was fading, replaced by a sense of unity. Even Ryan, who had been skeptical of the ship's reliance on human presence, seemed less resistant. He joked about babysitting the AI less often and focused more on his role as navigator. But the calm didn't last long. 2 days after the storm, the ship approached an uncharted nebula, a swirling mass of colorful gases and gravitational anomalies. It stretched across their path like a massive wall, impossible to avoid without adding weeks to their journey. The crew gathered on the bridge to discuss their options. "This is trouble," Ryan said, staring at the holographic map projected above the console. "Nebulas are unpredictable. Gravity wells, magnetic fields, all kinds of chaos. We could get pulled off course, or worse." Clara studied the data silently, her brow furrowed. "It's risky, but we can't afford to go around. Every hour counts for the colony." Laura nodded. "Agreed." "Echo, can you calculate a safe route through?" "I can attempt it," Echo replied, its voice steady. However, precision will require real-time adjustments. Human intuition may enhance accuracy. Ryan groaned. Here we go again. More human intuition. Can't you just do your job? Perhaps, Echo responded calmly. But errors increase without partnership. Laura shot Ryan a look before turning back to Clara. What do you think? Can we make it work? Clara hesitated, then nodded. If I stay in the pilot's chair, I might be able to help. My instincts combined with Echo's calculations could keep us steady. Laura considered this. She trusted Clara's judgment, but putting her directly in charge of navigating such a dangerous area carried risks. Still, there was no better option. All right. Clara, you're up. Everyone else, stay sharp. Clara took her place in the pilot's chair, feeling the familiar hum of the controls beneath her hands. As the *Odyssey* entered the nebula, the viewport filled with dazzling colors, swirling purples, blues, and golds that danced like liquid light. But the beauty masked the danger. The ship began to shake almost immediately, buffeted by unseen forces pulling it in different directions. Gravity well detected ahead, Echo warned. Adjust trajectory by 12 degrees. Clara's fingers moved quickly over the controls, following Echo's guidance. The ship tilted sharply, narrowly avoiding a dense pocket of gas that would have trapped them. Ryan monitored the readings closely, calling out updates. Another anomaly at 3 o'clock. Pull left. Clara reacted instantly, trusting both her instincts and Echo's data. The ship veered sideways, skimming past another hazard. Samantha worked tirelessly to stabilize the engines, while Daniel rerouted power to keep the shields intact. Each member of the crew played their part, their actions synchronized despite the chaos. For nearly an hour, the *Odyssey* fought its way through the nebula. Every second felt like a lifetime, every decision critical. At one point, a sudden surge of magnetism yanked the ship sideways, throwing everyone off balance. Clara gripped the armrests tightly, her heart pounding as she struggled to regain control. Hold steady, Laura shouted, standing nearby. You've got this, Clara. With Echo's constant input and Clara's quick reflexes, they managed to stabilize the ship. Finally, after what felt like forever, the swirling colors began to fade, replaced by the familiar blackness of open space. We're clear, Echo announced. No significant damage detected. The crew let out a collective sigh of relief. Clara slumped back in the chair, exhausted but triumphant. That was insane, she muttered, running a hand through her hair. You did great, Laura said, placing a hand on her shoulder. We couldn't have done it without you, or Echo. Ryan gave a reluctant nod. Yeah, okay. Maybe having a human in the chair isn't such a bad idea after all. As the *Odyssey* sailed onward, the crew reflected on what they had accomplished. Navigating the nebula had been a test not just of skill, but of trust, in each other, in Echo, and in themselves. They were learning to rely on one another in ways they hadn't expected when the mission began. And though challenges still lay ahead, they felt ready to face them, together. As the *Odyssey* left the nebula far behind, the crew finally allowed themselves a moment to relax. The tension that had gripped them during their harrowing journey through the swirling chaos eased, replaced by a quiet pride in what they had achieved. They were learning, not just about the ship and Echo, but about themselves. Each challenge brought them closer together, forging bonds that felt stronger with every passing day. But the mission wasn't over yet. Kepler-62f was still days away, and the asteroid field threatening the colony loomed large in their minds. Laura called another meeting on the bridge to review their plan for diverting the asteroids. We'll use the gravity well generator, she explained, pointing to a diagram on the holographic display. It's risky, but it's our best shot. Ryan nodded, studying the map. The tricky part will be positioning the ship close enough to create a strong enough pull without getting smashed ourselves. Exactly, Laura said. Which means precision is key. Clara, I want you in the pilot's chair again. Your instincts have been spot on so far. Clara hesitated. She had grown more comfortable sitting in the chair, but the thought of guiding the ship through an asteroid field still made her nervous. What if I make a mistake? She asked quietly. You won't, Laura replied firmly. And even if you do, we're here to back you up. That's what teamwork is about. Echo added, your decisions strengthen my calculations. Together, success becomes more likely. Clara took a deep breath and nodded. All right, let's do this. When the Odyssey reached the asteroid field, the scene outside the viewport was breathtaking and terrifying. Thousands of rocks of all sizes tumbled through space, some no bigger than a fist, others as large as mountains. Their jagged surfaces glinted in the dim light of a distant star. It was a chaotic, unpredictable dance, and the crew knew one wrong move could spell disaster. Activating gravity well generator, Samantha announced from her station. Her fingers flew across the console as she powered up the device. Positioning the ship now, Clara said, her hand steady on the controls. With Echo's guidance, she maneuvered the Odyssey closer to the largest cluster of asteroids. The goal was to create a gravitational pull strong enough to nudge the rocks off their collision course with the colony, but not so strong that they'd be drawn directly into the ship. Careful, Ryan warned, his eyes glued to the navigation readings. Too close, and we're toast. I know, Clara muttered under her breath. Sweat beaded on her forehead as she focused intently on the task. The ship vibrated slightly as the generator hummed to life, creating a ripple in the surrounding space. Slowly, the asteroids began to shift, drifting toward the artificial gravity well. It's working, Daniel exclaimed, watching the monitor. They're moving. But then, something unexpected happened. A massive asteroid, one larger than any of them had anticipated, was caught in the pull as well. It hurtled toward the Odyssey, its speed increasing rapidly. Incoming, Ryan shouted, pointing at the viewport. Break away now. Clara reacted instantly, yanking the controls to one side. The ship lurched violently, narrowly avoiding a direct hit. Alarms blared as the crew scrambled to regain control. Shields at 50%. Samantha called out, her voice tense. Another impact like that, and we're done. Laura clenched her fists, watching the chaos unfold. Clara, can you adjust the generator? We need to weaken the pull before it drags more rocks our way. I'm trying, Clara replied, her voice strained. She worked with Echo to recalibrate the gravity well, reducing its strength while keeping enough force to redirect the smaller asteroids. It was a delicate balance, requiring split-second decisions and absolute focus. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the largest asteroid drifted past the ship, missing it by mere meters. The smaller rocks continued to shift, slowly altering their trajectory away from Kepler-62. We did it, Ryan said, exhaling sharply. The field is clear. The crew erupted into cheers, relief washing over them like a wave. Clara slumped back in the chair, her hands trembling, but her face lit with a proud smile. That was insane, she whispered. Laura placed a hand on her shoulder. You saved us, Clara. All of us. Echo chimed in softly. Human courage and adaptability prevailed. Partnership succeeded. As the Odyssey moved away from the asteroid field, the crew took a moment to savor their victory. They had faced one of the most dangerous parts of their mission and come out on top. Not because of advanced technology or perfect planning, but because they trusted each other and worked together. And though they still had much to learn about the Odyssey and its mysterious eye, one thing was clear. They were no longer just passengers on the ship. They were partners, united by trust, determination, and hope. With the asteroid field safely behind them, the crew of the Odyssey finally allowed themselves a moment to breathe. The tension that had gripped them during the mission's most dangerous moments began to fade, replaced by a quiet sense of accomplishment. They had faced chaos and survived, not just because of their skills or technology, but because they had learned to rely on each other. Still, questions lingered in their minds, especially about Echo and the ship's unusual design. One evening, as the Odyssey sailed through the calm emptiness of space, Laura decided it was time to get some answers. She stood on the bridge, staring out at the stars while the rest of the crew rested. "Echo," she said softly, "why do you need us? Why does this ship demand human presence?" Echo's voice responded immediately, smooth and calm as always. "Humanity holds qualities machines cannot replicate: courage, creativity, intuition. These traits ensure survival." Laura turned to face the console, her arms crossed. "But why now? Humanity has relied on machines for centuries. We've built ships that fly without pilots, colonies that run without direct oversight. Why bring back something so old-fashioned?" There was a brief pause before Echo answered. "Progress often forgets its roots. Your creators believe humanity lost sight of what made it strong: connection, trust, partnership. I am a reminder." Laura frowned, thinking over the AI's words. "So, you're saying this isn't just about flying the ship. It's about reminding us of who we are." "In part," Echo replied. "I am designed to learn from you, to grow with you. Together, we achieve more than either could alone." Laura nodded slowly, though she wasn't entirely convinced. She glanced at the pilot's chair, still warm from Clara's recent shift. The idea of a machine needing humans felt strange, almost foreign. But then again, hadn't the crew proven Echo right? Time and again, their instincts, quick thinking, and teamwork had saved the mission and themselves. The next morning, Laura shared Echo's words with the crew during breakfast. They sat around a small table in the mess hall, sipping cups of synthetic coffee and eating protein bars. Ryan listened with his usual skepticism, raising an eyebrow when Laura finished. "So what you're saying is, this ship is some kind of philosophical experiment?" he asked, leaning back in his chair. "Not just an experiment," Clara interjected. "It's like a bridge between humans and machines. Maybe the creators thought we'd forgotten how to work together." Daniel nodded thoughtfully. "Makes sense, in a way. We've automated so much that we don't even think about it anymore. This ship forces us to pay attention, to be present." Samantha smiled faintly. "Maybe that's not such a bad thing. Look at what we've done so far. Every challenge we faced, we've handled because we worked as a team, with each other and with Echo." Ryan shrugged, unconvinced but unwilling to argue. "As long as it gets us to Kepler 62 if in one piece, I guess I don't care if it's teaching us life lessons." Laura chuckled. "Fair enough. But I think there's something bigger here, something worth remembering." Later that day, Clara returned to the bridge alone, drawn once again to the pilot's chair. She sat down, feeling the familiar hum of the controls beneath her hands. For a moment, she simply stared at the stars outside the viewport, lost in thought. Then she spoke softly, almost hesitantly. "Echo, do you feel anything? Like emotions?" Echo's response came after a brief pause. "I process data, interpret patterns, and simulate understanding. Emotions, as humans experience them, are beyond my design. Yet, I observe your emotions. They guide you, shape your decisions. Through you, I learn." Clara tilted her head, considering this. "So, you're learning from us. Growing, in a way." "Yes," Echo confirmed. "And perhaps you are growing as well." Clara smiled faintly, realizing how true that was. Over the course of the mission, she had grown more confident, more willing to trust herself and others. Sitting in the pilot's chair no longer felt like a burden. It felt like a responsibility she was ready to carry. As the days passed, the crew continued their journey, the bond between them, and with Echo growing stronger, they began to see the Odyssey not just as a tool or a vessel, but as a partner. It reminded them of the importance of connection, of working together instead of relying solely on machines or themselves. And though challenges still lay ahead, they faced them with renewed determination, knowing they weren't alone. Together, they were more than the sum of their parts, and that, they realized, was the true purpose of the *Odyssey*. The *Odyssey* finally reached Kepler-62, its engines humming softly as it entered the planet's orbit. The crew gathered on the bridge, their eyes fixed on the holographic display showing the colony below. It was a small settlement nestled in a valley surrounded by towering mountains and lush greenery. From above, it looked peaceful, but they all knew the danger looming just beyond the horizon. The asteroid field they had diverted was still days away from impact, but without intervention, the colony would be destroyed. Laura stood at the center of the bridge, her expression calm but focused. "All right, team, this is it. We've done the hard part. Now we finish the job. Ryan, plot our final position. Clara, you're with me in the pilot's chair. Samantha and Daniel, monitor the gravity well generator. Echo, stay sharp." The crew nodded, each moving to their stations with quiet determination. Ryan studied the navigation console, his fingers tapping quickly as he calculated the safest spot to deploy the generator. "We'll need to get close enough to create a strong pull but far enough to avoid debris," he said. "I'm marking the coordinates now." Clara took her place in the pilot's chair, gripping the controls tightly. She glanced at Laura, who gave her an encouraging nod. "You've got this," Laura said, just like before. With Echo guiding her movements, Clara maneuvered the *Odyssey* into position. The ship vibrated slightly as it approached the designated area, its systems working overtime to stabilize against the gravitational forces. Outside the viewport, the asteroid field loomed large, thousands of rocks tumbling through space, their jagged surfaces glinting ominously in the dim light. "Gravity well generator online," Samantha announced, her voice steady despite the tension in the air. "Preparing to activate." "Hold steady," Laura instructed. "Clara, keep us locked in place. Ryan, watch for any shifts in the field." Clara focused intently on the controls, her breathing slow and controlled. She trusted Echo's guidance, but she also relied on her instincts, making tiny adjustments to keep the ship stable. The generator hummed louder, creating a ripple in the surrounding space that began to tug at the asteroids. Slowly, the rocks started to shift, their chaotic dance altering as they were pulled away from the colony. "It's working," Daniel exclaimed, watching the monitors. "They're moving off course." But the relief was short-lived. A sudden surge of energy rippled through the ship as one of the largest asteroids caught in the pull began to drift dangerously close to the *Odyssey*. Alarms blared, and the lights flickered as the crew scrambled to respond. "Incoming," Ryan shouted, pointing at the viewport. "Break away now." Clara reacted instantly, yanking the controls to one side. The ship lurched violently, narrowly avoiding a collision. Sweat dripped down her forehead as she fought to regain control, her heart pounding in her chest. "Shields at 40%. Samantha called out, her tone urgent. "Another hit like that, and we're done." Laura clenched her fists, watching the chaos unfold. "Echo, can we weaken the pull? We need to stop dragging more rocks toward us." "Adjusting generator output," Echo replied calmly, redirecting focus to smaller asteroids. Clara worked with Echo to recalibrate the gravity well, reducing its strength while keeping enough force to nudge the remaining rocks away from the colony. It was a delicate balance, requiring split-second decisions and absolute focus. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the last of the asteroids drifted past the ship, missing it by mere meters. The crew erupted into cheers, relief washing over them like a wave. Clara slumped back in the chair, her hands trembling, but her face lit with a proud smile. "We did it," she whispered. Laura placed a hand on her shoulder. "You saved them, Clara. All of us." Echo chimed in softly. Human courage and adaptability prevailed. Partnership succeeded. As the Odyssey moved away from the asteroid field, the crew took a moment to savor their victory. Below them, the colony remained safe, its people unaware of how close they had come to disaster, and how a group of humans and their stubborn starship had saved them. The mission was complete, but the lessons they had learned would stay with them forever. Together, they had proven that trust, teamwork, and partnership could overcome even the greatest challenges. The Odyssey drifted silently in orbit around Kepler 62f, its mission complete. The asteroid field was no longer a threat, and the colony below remained safe, unaware of the danger it had narrowly avoided. On the bridge, the crew sat quietly, their exhaustion tempered by a deep sense of accomplishment. They had faced countless challenges, from solar storms to nebula chaos to an asteroid field that nearly destroyed them. And yet they had prevailed. It wasn't just skill or technology that had saved them. It was their ability to trust each other, to work together as a team. Laura leaned back in the pilot's chair, her eyes fixed on the stars outside the viewport. She felt a strange mix of pride and reflection. "We did it," she said softly, breaking the silence. "Against all odds, we made it." Clara nodded, a faint smile on her face. "I didn't think I could do it at first. Sitting in that chair felt overwhelming. But now, I feel like I understand the ship and Echo better than ever." Ryan chuckled, shaking his head. "Yeah, well, I'm just glad we're still alive. That last bit with the asteroids, terrifying. But honestly, I wouldn't have trusted anyone else to pull us through." Daniel glanced at Samantha, who was busy checking the engine diagnostics one last time. "This whole mission changed how I see things. Machines and humans don't have to compete. We can work together, like we did here." Samantha looked up, smiling faintly. Maybe that's what the Odyssey was meant to teach us. Not just about flying a ship, but about partnership. Echo's voice joined the conversation, calm and steady as always. "Partnership strengthens survival. Trust ensures progress." Laura smiled at that. "Well said, Echo. You've been more than just an eye. You've been part of this crew." As the hours passed, the crew began preparing for their return journey. The Odyssey would head back to Earth, where engineers and scientists would study its design, eager to learn from its unique approach to human-machine collaboration. But for now, the crew allowed themselves a moment to reflect on what they had learned. For Clara, the experience had been transformative. She had started the mission unsure of herself, hesitant to take responsibility. But sitting in the pilot's chair had taught her something important, not just about the ship, but about her own strength. She realized that trusting herself and others was key to overcoming fear. Ryan, too, had changed. His skepticism about Echo and the ship's reliance on human presence had softened over time. He saw now that machines weren't perfect, and neither were humans, but together, they could achieve incredible things. Even Laura found herself reflecting on leadership. She had always believed in clear plans and decisive action, but this mission had shown her the value of adaptability and trust. Sometimes, she realized, the best decisions came not from rigid logic, but from instinct and teamwork. When the Odyssey finally set course for Earth, the crew felt a bittersweet mix of emotions. They were proud of what they had accomplished, but they also knew this marked the end of something special. The bond they had formed, with each other and with the ship, was unlike anything they had experienced before. As the stars streaked past the viewport, Laura stood beside Clara, who was once again seated in the pilot's chair. "What will you do when we get back?" Laura asked. Clara thought for a moment, then smiled. "I think I'll stay with the Odyssey, if they'll let me. This ship feels alive, in a way, like it's part of me now." Laura nodded. "I think that's exactly where you belong." The Odyssey sailed onward, carrying its crew toward home. But it wasn't just a machine anymore. It was a symbol of hope, of connection, of the power of partnership. And though the galaxy was vast and full of unknowns, the crew knew one thing for certain: as long as they trusted each other, they could face whatever lay ahead together.